If you've been scrolling through endless specs, watching YouTube unbox videos, and still feel like you're guessing which folder inserter actually makes sense for your office, you're not alone. The market is full of machines that promise up to 1,500 envelopes per hour or 15 programmable jobs. But the truth is a little messy, once you bring the device onto a real workbench. I spent the last week watching a small accounting firm try out a few models, then set up a Formax FD6104 in my own home office space just to see if the hype lines up with everyday use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why a folder inserter might even be on your radar. If you're sending out regular newsletters, invoices, or promotional mailings, and you find yourself manually folding and stuffing each piece, you're probably losing a few minutes per envelope that add up fast. The real pain point isn't the speed of the machine, it's the consistency. You want every piece folded the same way, every envelope sealed without a jam, and you want to keep the staff's hands free for other tasks. That's the sweet spot where a device like the Formax FD6104 starts to feel like a genuine productivity lever. Who should consider this machine? Small to medium businesses that push at least a few hundred pieces a day. Think boutique marketing agencies, legal offices handling bulk client letters, or e-commerce shops that ship catalogs with a cover letter will see the most immediate return. If you're a solo freelancer who only sends out a handful of invoices each week, you'll probably spend more time learning the controls than you'll save on time. The FD6104 sits in that middle ground where the volume is high enough to justify the purchase, but the footprint is still manageable for a standard office space. Now, the first thing you notice when you power it up is the 5-inch color touchscreen. It's not just a glossy panel. The interface actually walks you through each step. I found that when I loaded a mixed batch of 8 11-inch sheets and 49-inch inserts, the screen prompted me to set the exact dimensions, then automatically adjusted the side guides. That kind of visual feedback cuts down on the trial and error that older, button-only machines demand. For a team that's not used to tinkering with paper paths, the touchscreen feels more like a guided wizard than a cryptic control board. Speed is another headline that catches attention. Up to 1,350 filled envelopes per hour. In practice, that translates to roughly 22 envelopes per minute when you're running a clean, uniform job. The firm I observed ran a 500-envelope run of their monthly newsletter and finished in under 25 minutes, which is impressive compared with their previous manual method that took about an hour for the same batch. The key is that the machine folds the documents and inserts them together. You don't have to pre-fold or pre-stack anything. That saves a step that can be a bottleneck, especially when you have multiple insert types. The 15 Programmable Jobs feature is where the FD6104 starts to show its real flexibility. You can store different document lengths, envelope sizes, and fold styles, then switch between them with a tap. I set up 2 jobs, one for a single-page flyer folded into a trifold, and another for a 2-page invoice that needed a half fold. Switching between the two on the fly meant the office could churn out both marketing pieces and billing statements in the same afternoon without reconfiguring the machine manually. For teams that have varied mailings, that saved a noticeable amount of downtime. On the downside, the machine's top-loading design means you have to keep the feeder area clear of dust and stray paper. The electromechanical sensors are touted as unaffected by smudges or paper color, and in my experience they held up well with a mix of glossy brochures and matte invoices. However, the catch tray, where the finished envelopes drop, can fill up quickly if you're running a high-volume batch. You need to be ready to clear it out every few hundred pieces, otherwise you'll get a backup that stalls the whole process. It's a small operational detail, but one that can feel like a nuisance if you're not used to monitoring it. Maintenance is another practical consideration. The side guides are adjustable, which is great for handling different envelope widths, but they also require occasional tightening. The feeder rollers, like any paper handling component, will collect a thin layer of dust over time. Formax provides a basic cleaning kit, but you'll want to schedule a quick wipe down every few weeks if you're feeding glossy stock. For a business that can dedicate a few minutes a week to upkeep, that's a modest price. If you're looking for a set-and-forget solution, you may end up spending more on service calls than you anticipated. Cost is where the conversation often stalls. The FD6104 sits in a price bracket that's higher than entry-level desktop inserters, yet lower than industrial floor models. The real value comes from the balance of speed and flexibility. For a company that